After 30 days, I could not believe my before and after picture. I literally rolled back the hands of time.
Dottie plays with Jane. Jane plays with Willie. Willie is happy again. Suki plays with Leo. Sasha plays with Brit. Adolf builds a bonfire. Enrico plays with it. Sorry. So we can swing kissing balloons in the jungle. It looks good, cute, and melody. Games without frontiers, all without tears. It looks good, cute, and melody. Games without frontiers, all without tears. Games without frontiers, all without tears. Andre has a red flag, Cheyenne sings it's blue. They all have hills to fly them on, except for little Bayou. Dressing up in costumes, playing city games, hiding out in treetops, shouting out new names. We hide in the trees by the seaside. Listening to we press on the gun to the jungle. So look out. It looks good, kill they only in games without frontiers, war without tears. It looks good, kill they only in games without frontiers, war without tears. Games without frontiers, war without tears.
Okay, hi everyone. And that is Games Without Frontiers by Peter Gabriel. And the reason I started off today's class with that is because, of course, it's connected to the European Union. Let's see, I have to go back to this, and no, I don't want to launch a poll, just a second. I have to, each time I shift screen, I have to reactivate the share screen. So I have to remember that. And so here is the lesson plan for today. And there you see the YouTube link to Games Without Frontiers. And there's a Wikipedia link as well here. And Games Without Frontiers is a song, but it's based upon a television show that was broadcast throughout Europe on many different in several European countries called Jeux Sans Frontières, Games Without Frontiers, which there is not a long entry here for it, but it was a show started in the 1960s when President Charles de Gaulle of France, the former general who led the French resistance during World War II, was president of France, and he was state president of France until 1970. And he came up with a proposal that there should be some sort of European game show, a competition game show in which the different countries, team from different countries participating would engage in silly sports events wearing outlandish costumes. And it was so, of course, not long after World War II ended. I was born in 1962, so that's only 17 years after the Second World War ended. And so people were still very, of course, very sensitive to this notion of European competition. And the idea of the show came from French President Charles de Gaulle, it says here, and whose wish was that French and German youth would meet in a series of games to reinforce the friendship between France and Germany, and then spread to other countries. And of course, Peter Gabriel is commenting upon how the Europeans, this is a silly game show, but the competitors took it so seriously when they were involved in wearing these silly outfits and engaging in these silly games. The competition became so intense among the different countries, teams participating. And this again refers to this principle or this notion that we've highlighted in this class, which is that the European Union is first and foremost a peace strategy, right? The European Union is supposed to be a strategy for peace in Europe. And
Professor,
yes,
I can see your screen.
you can't see my screen. Oh, let me see what's going on.
Yeah, stop
there.
it.
You should be able to see my screen.
Your screen is stopped from in my computer.
It should be there. I mean, I have my video showing. I see myself. Can everybody else see me?
No, it is kind of frozen.
Your screen is frozen.
Frozen? Why is my screen frozen? Okay, if I stop share, let's see if I do it like this. Yeah, I mean, it might be because I'm trying to do too much, maybe, huh? You think? And
just try it again.
Okay, so let me see. What if I pin video? There, can you see me now?
Only your face, sir.
You see me?
Only your face, no screen.
No movement. Wonder what that means. Can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see your face, but like not the screen that you want to share.
Oh, okay. Well, if I let me go screen share again, and go back to the here we go. So share. There you see that main points.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes.
the European Union is ultimately a peace strategy. The European Union won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2012. Now, that might be a good thing. A lot of some unpleasant people have won the Nobel Peace Prize. Henry Kissinger got the Nobel Peace Prize for the Paris negotiations to end the Vietnam War, and it didn't really end the Vietnam War, but he got a Nobel Peace Prize for it. But the European Union was awarded the Peace Prize in 2012, not coincidentally, when the European debt crisis was being addressed, and the Europeans were showing, particularly the Germans, their willingness to come to the help of the debtor countries, the countries experiencing the sovereign debt crisis immediately, Greece, right? Greece, but also Spain Portugal and Ireland, but Greece was the big problem, the biggest problem. And the European Union, predominantly Germany, put up hundreds of billions of dollars worth of loans to Greece to help it be able to continue to have finances for its government. Because, well, we'll have to talk about this in more detail later, but you know, in South Korea, in Japan, in Germany, the United States, governments always spend more money than they receive in taxes, right? So they have a budget deficit, and they raise the money to cover that budget deficit so they can spend the money on their programs by getting loans. And they get those loans in the form of the sales of bonds. Treasury bonds in the US, gilts in the form is the British word for British bonds. And they promise an interest rate return, that if you buy $100, let's say €100 German bond, the German government will give you 0.1% on that €100 bond that you bought in 10 years. So that they'll give you back €100 plus 10 cents. Sounds silly. Yeah, I know it's silly. German bond interest rates are really, really low. They don't offer a lot of return on that because the German economy and the German government is viewed with such confidence by bankers and investors around the whole planet Earth that it's considered an ultimately very safe investment. So the German government doesn't have to offer high interest rates to attract people to buy their bonds because it's considered completely safe, basically. But Greece couldn't do that 10 years ago. People around the world were saying, Greece is not going to be able to pay back their bonds if we buy their bonds. So if the Greek government really wants me to buy their bonds so that I can loan them money to cover the budget deficit, they got to offer me 5% interest rates over 10 years, or 6%, or 7%. And if it goes up so high, it's not really feasible. So the German government came in and gave Greece tremendous loans to convince you and me and bankers and governments around the planet that Greece will pay off its loans, even though they're having a terrible, terrible economic depression. I mean, the Greek economy contracted by 25% 10 years ago, 1/4. And again, this is not just a history lesson because we're going through this again now as we speak with the coronavirus pandemic economic depression. And so we're having a repeat of this well, not a complete repeat, but a replay of this economic disaster, including a financial disaster. And we're seeing, however, that the lessons learned or the actions taken, and there were new ideas, new lessons, new tools, new policy instruments that the European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve Bank in the United States, Washington, D.C., that they adopted to deal with the sovereign debt crisis 10, 12 years ago, they're implementing now. Again, and more in dealing with the COVID-19 economic crisis. I mean, overnight, you see the European Central Bank and the American Federal Reserve implement radical financial policies to address the financial crisis in the financial markets. But those instruments were created 10 years ago as new ideas in dealing with the European sovereign debt crisis. So the movement, and so the action of the US government and the central governments of the other countries have been much faster in the last several months than they were 12 years ago when the debt crisis began. And that's one of the reasons why the US stock market already has recovered since March. It's now back to where it was before the pandemic began. And that's partly because of the US Federal Reserve and the Central Bank of the European Union and the other central banks using those policy instruments that they created for the first time in dealing with the sovereign debt crisis that began in 2009, let us say, in the European Union. They're already on the books, ready to go. And they're adding more, okay? But it's just amazing that the US stock market is back to where it was on before the pandemic began today. So the European Union got the Peace Prize. And again, that's the highlight, that a point that we made last week, right? That the European Union is mostly focusing on business and economic policy, not only, but the majority of its activity and policymaking focuses on economic and and business activity. But that's a means to an end. That's a means to an end. In the end, ultimate end is peace in Europe. Right? Peace in Europe. And that requires cooperation for economic prosperity, for economic growth, rather than believing that, oh, if I'm Germany and I gain economically, France loses. And if France gains, Germany loses. That kind of zero-sum thinking has to stop. And the European Union aims to end zero-sum thinking in Europe about how to achieve Germany's national interest, France's national interest, Greece's national interest, Italy's national interest, all of the national interests. That they pursue their national interest through cooperation, coordination, and collaboration through the European Union framework. And convincing not only their governments, but their people as well. People, not just businessmen and women, not just professors, but workers, farmers, people that don't have college education, people who don't speak foreign languages fluently. And those are the majority of the people in Europe still. So, okay, so that's an introduction to what we want to cover today. And, you know, I'm still trying to figure out Zoom. So, for example, I was able to disable the waiting room feature, so allow anybody to join the class without me having to admit them. But you know, it took a little time because the tutorials on Zoom, the YouTube tutorials, which are really useful, they're not completely up to date all the time, right? So like, I just realized I can only disable the waiting list function after I start the class. I can't do it in the settings when I set up the class, like the tutorial says I can, but that's not correct, at least not for this account. So how many people we have? Oh, it says sharing is paused. Yeah, there your screen sharing. And see, I moved to a different screen and it stopped the sharing screen. You know, it's something to note. So I just want to make sure that everybody's in the class. So we have 15 people in the class. Good. I didn't have to admit anybody. You were all able to join. That's good. The class is being recorded, and I will post it on the Cyber Campus as we try to get organized here. Cyber Campus has its own issues. So here you see okay, stop share. So now I have to go screen share and I go to Cyber Campus. So there you see, there's Cyber Campus. And I've already, you know, if you look at material, I've already uploaded things I've shown you, notes, video links to YouTube links that I've posted. Let me see if I can find, yeah, where is, something is missing. Let me tell you, I'll fix it. But I uploaded the YouTube link to the Monday class here, and it's not here. And it's not here, I'll tell you why. It's not here because I was trying to go to online lecture and work with this, and this doesn't work very well. So I try to add the links there to the YouTube, and it doesn't really work. So I'm not going to use this. All of the course material will be posted here, okay? So in fact, I can do it right now. I can go add, and I can go just to show you what I spend time doing. Here is, let me show just a sec. The point is, I was trying to add things, and the computer couldn't handle it. And so, okay, so embed, insert, and so we go. Just to show you how I do this. Policy making week 1A and EUPM introduction. And so this is what I originally put there, and it's not there. And it's not there because I was working a lot with this, and this isn't really set up well. So we're not going to use it. I'm going to post everything here under material, And so you're going to see that we're at the end of week one. So this is 1B. This is second class meeting. So you can see first class was on Monday, the 31st. And I'll post today's, I want to fix the title. I want to edit that a bit. I want to do it right. So I should have this like this. 31, 8, 20, like that, okay? And just to be consistent. And so you see here, yeah, messed it up. I want to make this perfect, right? So I want to have this here, just like I do with everything else, like this, and like that. Okay, so save. Okay, there you go. So material, and so you can see, screwed up again. This, because I'm so excited about teaching this class, right? So week 1A, like that. There we go. So you can see that's where we're going to post all the files. So, 1B today is the 4th of September, so I'll post the links and the Zoom links to the YouTube links to these recorded Zoom presentations. These Zoom presentations, as I mentioned last class, are too big, right? You can't upload them directly to CyberCampus because CyberCampus is limited to 100 megabytes, right? So this is like 300, this class will be 350 megabytes at least, large size. So I have to put it on YouTube and then give you the YouTube link on CyberCampus, okay? But I use the assignment function. Yay! Here's the assignment function. You can still see this, right? So I have asked you to submit to me, you can send it to my Gmail account as a MS Word or Hangul writing program, preferably a Microsoft Word document file, a 150-word paragraph by Wednesday next week at by 7 in the morning, because then I'm done working out on my treadmill and I get to sit down here in my office and I get to work. And I would like you to send to me before then a 150-word paragraph, at least 150 words or longer, a paragraph on this topic. To South Koreans, the European Union shows that liberal democratic national governments must cooperate internationally in order to survive. And please, as you make your argument, there's no right or wrong answer, right? No right or wrong answer. As you make your argument, please be sure to use and cite information from the course notes, the course textbook in chapter 1. And I already sent you the PDF file link to download the PDF file for the book. And I told you, you could go buy the photocopy at DocuCopy across the street there from the 7-Eleven at the entrance to the Catholic University Korea University, right? In case you want to have a hard copy. And those photocopies are cheap, right? You can also buy the book if you want to. I showed the book at the last class on Amazon. Make sure you get, if you're going to buy the book from Amazon, make sure you get the latest edition, right? Make sure you get the latest edition, because European Union is changing. And of course, it's changing rapidly even as we speak now, right? Because of the, because so much is happening. And this was the book. I'm sorry if some of you already saw this. So this is the latest edition of the book. If you want to buy it, you can buy it. These are the older editions here, and this book was published in 2018, so it discusses Brexit, but of course it doesn't discuss the COVID-19 pandemic and the European Union's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is really far-reaching. I mean, the European Union is moving more in the direction of becoming a United States of Europe in dealing with this crisis. Slowly, but it's moving in that direction because they agreed, for example, to come up with, I think, $3,000 billion in economic aid to help the weaker countries in the European Union recover from the pandemic. And it's not clear how they're going to pay for that, but they've decided they're going to pay for it. And they're probably going to have the European Central Bank just print money. The European Central Bank will probably buy, they're not going to issue Corona bonds. Remember I talked to you about bonds and treasury bonds and gilts and, you know, there was talk about, okay, well, the European Union needs to come up with its own bonds, Corona bonds. And the Germans and the Dutch said, no, we're not going to create bonds because they're very nervous about German public opinion and the nationalists in Germany and in the Netherlands and in all the countries worried that the European Union will become a United States of Europe and erase the member states to create a new country that's bigger and absorbs and disintegrates and dissolves Germany and Italy and France. So the Germans and the Dutch and the others said, no, it can't be called Corona bonds. Because European Union can't have bonds the way South Korea has bonds and France has bonds and Germany has bonds and the United States has bonds. No. Okay, so they're not going to have Corona bonds, but the European Central Bank is still going to buy Italian, Spanish, Greek bonds by just printing euros. That's going to be part of it. So this European Central Bank is emerging as one of the most powerful institutions in the European Union, and it only officially came into being in 21 years ago, 1999, the European Central Bank, to monitor the euro. But you know, this is all current events, right? You have to read the newspaper to find out what's going on. Okay, so please, and send that to me, and then Wednesday and Thursday, I will go through the paragraphs, write comments, and send them back to you for our Friday class, before our Friday class. And the idea here is that we will have a debate in the class on Friday on this topic. And we're going to do it with Zoom. And, you know, Zoom allows, you know, putting people into breakout rooms and separating groups. So we'll try to do that as we have a debate on this topic, pro or con, yes or no. That the European Union shows that liberal democratic national governments must cooperate internationally in order to survive. And that goes back to the point I made at the beginning of today's class, right? That the European Union, in the first form of the European coal and steel community, which emerged in 1951, 1952, emerged when, after World War II, the leaders of Western Europe realized that if they're going to stay in power and not have new Hitlers, and not have new Mussolinis, and not have new Francisco Francos, not have new dictatorships, that they have to cooperate more closely with each other to help each other out, economically and politically. These new governments, the democratic governments that came to power after the defeat of fascism, that they have to help each other out. They have to cooperate with each other. They have to understand each other's different perspectives. And they're all elected politicians, so they understand, right? That I'm a German, you're a French. I understand you have to win elections. You understand I have to win elections. And you know my people are nationalistic, and I know your people are nationalistic. So I know there's limits to what you can do, and you know there are limits, political limits to what I can do. So given that we understand as professional politicians, liberal democratic politicians, we understand our situations, what can we do together to help each other out? Knowing we always want to keep future possible Hitlers and Mussolinis on the fringe without popular support, because those people are always there. You always have fascists waiting. I mean, and they might come to power like evidently Trump is. I mean, Trump is a fascist in the United States. Keep that, think about that. One of these people has come to power in the most powerful country in the world. And that's a big challenge for the European Union, because the United States played such an important role in Europe, obviously during and after World War II, when the European Union began. So the United States is now a problem. And everybody's waiting to see what happens in 2 months. You know, all of these politicians in Western Europe are hoping that, please, Donald Trump be defeated. Please, Joe Biden beat him. Please, please, please. We'll see. If he wins re-election, it's going to have significant consequences for the whole world, including United States, including South Korea. But it may push the European Union to become more of a typical superpower with its own army, its own military, more independence from the United States, withdrawing US soldiers maybe, more soldiers from Western Europe. Okay, and so that, and if you have any questions, please, you know, I'm glad somebody raised a point. That's the first time I think anybody raised the point yet in the class, the technical question. So that's good. That's good. Okay, so you know, as I told you, I already posted. Let me see. Materials should be here. So if I go to, yeah, I already posted the notes from chapter 1 in the textbook, and it stopped share. So now I have to resume share. And how do I have to go back? Okay, so I got to go back to that. Then I got to share screen. Then I have to go to, is that the notes? I think that's the notes, share. Yay, there you see the notes. So as I told you, I basically rewrote the chapter in my own words. So there are the notes with my commentary. That's my comment. BD is Bendy Dominichez, right? And I show you where all the information is located on page, this is all on page 4 until you, you know, and then from here, this is all page 5. And then page 6 starts here. So this will help you read the book. The book is easy to read. I knew when I taught this class a few years ago, we had some students from French universities, and one of the students told me he already used this book in his European Union class in France in English. So it's meant to be used by people, by students whose native language might not be English. So it's written in simple language. Yeah, the Lisbon Treaty, I mean, that was came into effect in 2009. That's the most well. Let me talk a bit about this. So, so what is the European Union? Oh, okay. Well, hey, let's do something new. A new feature. So, okay, I have a question for you. Is or will the European Union become a superpower? So choose yes or no. So it says launch poll. Okay, so please take the poll. There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to use the polling function. No. Oh, yes is gaining. Oh, still. Yeah, this is the first time I've used the polling function in the class. So 2 more people need to vote. 1 more person. Come on,
Professor.
1 more person.
Professor,
Yeah.
your screen is frozen again.
Well, that's okay. I mean, you can see the notes though here, right? You can see the poll, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, the computer might be limited. I don't know. You know, you can see me. I don't know. It's interesting because on my I see my face, my mouth moving around as I'm talking here. I wonder what's going on. You can hear me. Okay. End poll. So I ended the poll, And so most of you do not think the European Union is or will become a superpower. So it says here, share results. Who do I share? Oh, there you see. Okay, those are the results. So most of you don't believe that the European Union will become a superpower. So that implies you know what a superpower is. What is a superpower? Tell me, if you think the European Union is not a superpower, then what is a superpower? You must know what a superpower is if you know the European Union is not one. What is one? What's an example of a superpower?
Like a country that can have an unimaginable influence. They have weapons, like nuclear weapons, a lot of them. Stuff like that. Like China and the US, isn't it?
Good. Can you see me? Okay, so I'll stop sharing. You can see me now? Am I moving?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Good. Use a lot of nuclear weapons. But France has nuclear weapons. They've got nuclear missiles and weapons. Britain has nuclear weapons, but it's no longer officially in the European Union, right? There's not a right or wrong answer. I struggle with these questions as well, these issues as well in my work, right? What does this term superpower mean? Why do we use it? It almost seems like it's a glorification of the United States. Oh, United States, you are so amazing, so powerful. You are a superpower, like Superman, right? Strange. Germany and Japan do not have nuclear weapons, right? If Germany wanted to have nuclear weapons, they could have them by our next class on Monday. If they wanted to build them, they could build them in 48 hours. So could Japan. And everybody knows this, right? They could build them and deploy them in 2 days. But they've chosen not to. Of course, North Korea has chosen to do so, as has the United States, China, Russia, Israel, unofficially, right? South Korea, they probably could make nuclear weapons too in a few days if they wanted to. They have nuclear technology, they have fuel, they have the reactors. This mighty superpower was defeated in Vietnam, one of the poorest countries in the world. This mighty superpower was defeated in Vietnam. This mighty superpower cannot impose its will in Afghanistan. Soviet Union, the other superpower, it was defeated in Afghanistan 30 years ago. Well, more than 30 years ago. About 32 years ago. It gave up and left in 1988. What does it mean to be a superpower? Does it mean great military force? Or does it mean in a nuclear era, really, with complete also nuclear weapons everywhere, in potentially, if not factually right now, like I said, we all know Japan could make them in 2 days if they wanted to. Germany could do so as well. And also the fact that the world is now fully politically mobilized. Everybody who's an adult, almost everybody, 99% of people over the age of 18 participate in politics, think about politics, they have opinions about politics, and they don't like outsiders telling them what to do. They don't like being conquered and occupied, and they will fight. When the British Empire and the French Empire and the Spanish Empire and the Russian Empire were being built, they were conquering peoples who didn't know what Russia or Africa or France or Britain or the Arab world or Iran were. They were illiterate peasants, 90% of them living in villages without any education, who didn't know anything about the world outside of their village except what was in the Bible and what the Bible told them, and what the Holy Quran told them, or what the Buddhist scripture told them. This mystical stories. So if Britain controls India, 99% of people who were living in what we called India didn't know what India was, didn't know what Britain was, and they didn't care. But now they do care. and they resist outsiders telling them what to do. Nationalism, 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 nuclear weapons and nationalism characterizes the world in the 20th century. That's why America was defeated in Vietnam. So the European Union, if it is going to be a new kind, maybe to be a really great first-rank power in the world, you have to do it in different ways. You have to do it through economics. You have to do it through persuasion. You have to do it through soft power. You have to do it through offering trade opportunities, right? These nationalists, if you're a proud, I mean, Korea's got a complicated, tragic history, right? So does South Korea also. But I think one thing that South Koreans are very proud of, they're very proud of the fact that Korea has developed economically under the South Korean government. It's a controversial government, right? But I think Koreans are proud of what they've achieved economically. That's true for all nationalists. Iranians want to develop their country. They want to have a space program. They want to have newest technology capabilities. That means you need to trade, you need to do business with the rest of the world. And the European Union is the biggest market and richest market in the world. Richest, not the biggest, but the richest, right? So, the European Union, is it a superpower? What is this European Union? And that goes back to this question. The European Union is a political puzzle. What is this thing, the European Union? It has expanded its size and policy competencies. This is a term you come up a lot in European Union language, right? In other words, in the areas where the European Union is allowed to be active, it has policy competency. The European Union is still not competent, for example, in making defense policy. That's outside of the European Union competencies. But the European Union obviously has policy competency. In other words, it is involved and oversees the agricultural policies of the countries that belong to the European Union. The policies of the government to deal with farmers and ranchers and agriculture is dominated by European Union policymaking. The European Union sets the agricultural policy for the countries in the European Union. It has become the biggest economic market in the world, accounting for 20% of world's global exports and imports. Yet, you know, we think, wow, that's great. A lot of people in the European Union seem to be becoming disillusioned with the European Union. So much so that there was a referendum 4 years ago in Britain, and the British people voted 52 to 48% to leave. Not you, not young people, mostly not young people, older people voted to leave. Less educated people tended to be ones who voted to leave. Older people tended to be the ones who voted to leave. Young people, people who can speak French and German or other foreign languages, they love the European Union. So there seems to be less trust in the European Union institutions. And again, this coronavirus pandemic will be a test. Although before the book was published in 2018, there started to be a change. But of course, in Britain, the British had already voted to leave in 2016. The European Union is blamed for the problems of Italy and Greece and France and Spain. We call that scapegoating. You make somebody a target of hate to satisfy their need to feel secure. Blame the Jews, blame the gypsies, blame somebody, scapegoat them, right? But the European Union is small. There's only 20,000 people that work for the European Union. Out of 500 million people, only 20,000 people work for the European Union, if you do not count the translators. You know, the people that translate, you know, to different languages. Aside from those people, only 20,000 people are European Union bureaucrats. Eurocrats, they're called by the nationalists. That's not even half the size of the parish the city government of Paris, of the city of Paris. Maybe 20,000 people work for the city of Buchan. That's nothing, right? European Union institutions are seen by many people as complicated and distant compared to their German government. I'm a German, and oh yeah, Angela Merkel, I like Angela Merkel. Oh yeah, I understand the German system, but this European system, I don't understand. It's so complicated and it seems so far away, but so powerful. These bureaucrats are deciding everything about, you know, how we do business and how we use our soul. Oh my gosh, they're so powerful. That's the image, the stereotype that many people have in Europe. And the European Union is not a well-understood entity, and it is complicated. It's meant to be complicated. It's meant to be complicated so that people don't get afraid that, the Germans are, for example, the Germans are using the European Union to build a new Fourth Reich, a new German empire through their economic power, using their money and wealth through the European Union to build a new secret hidden German empire to conquer Europe in the way they could not conquer Europe in the 1940s. This sounds silly. It might sound silly to you and me, but it didn't sound silly to many people who voted in the Brexit referendum in Britain to leave. So, how do you make that feel secure? How do you make that person feel more secure? Have lots of different ways for different kinds of people, British businessmen and women, German farmers, Italian students, French green activists, Bulgarian linguists, the many, many different kinds of people in the world. If they want to participate in the European Union policymaking process, there's lots and lots of different ways they can do that. That's why it's so complicated. That's why it's so complicated. To make it easy to participate in the sense of finding a way to get access, to believe that I'm getting my voice in there somehow. Little me, I'm somehow getting my voice in there. Without believing that a country, a rich, powerful European country, is pulling the strings like of a puppet to make Europe a new kind of empire for France, or it's usually Germany, because Germany is by far the economic powerhouse of the European Union. 40% of the European Union's economy, well, it might be more now that Britain left, closer to 50%. It must be, I have to check, but probably close to 50% of the European Union's gross domestic product is just Germany. Just Germany. It was 38% when Britain was in, but Britain's not officially in anymore. So how does the European Union work? We're going to answer that question, we focus on the formal rules of EU practice. We'll look at what the European Union treaties say, like I just mentioned, the Treaty of Lisbon in 2009. I got a question for you. Here's a poll. See if I can do this. Well, I don't know. It might be too complicated. Yeah, it might be too complicated. I was going to ask you, where was the Treaty of Lisbon signed? Anyone? Anyone? Where was the Treaty of Lisbon signed? Remember I mentioned the Treaty of Lisbon? Where was it signed? It's so obvious you don't know the answer. Lisbon! Yay! That's why it's called the Lisbon Treaty. Right? Where's Lisbon? What country is Lisbon in? The city of Lisbon?
Portugal.
Anyone? Don't know? Huh? Portugal! Yay! Portugal! So the member states of the European Union come together and leaders, the prime ministers and the presidents of Germany and Italy and France come together and they sign these treaties. And it was signed in 2000, it was signed in Lisbon and it came into effect in 2009. It takes some years to ratify the treaty. It was signed in 2004. It was rejected a couple times, I think by the Irish, and then they had to change it. And finally, the Irish ratified it and it came into effect in 2009. And that's the point I want to emphasize. The member states make the European Union. They created this European Union. They decided to create this European Union. And this began way back in 1951 with the Treaty of Paris. And the Treaty of Paris created the European Coal and Steel Community. So we'll talk about that in chapter 1. So let's see here. Let me open up another file here. So we go to, you can still see me, it says. And let's see if we open this up. That still says screen saving. There we are. So we covered some of this at last class. See, no problem with screen saving. You can see this, right? I don't know why. I mean, I don't have to stop share, but it's working okay. So Britain is no longer in the European Union. Right? And we covered this last class. We covered, some important founding. The European Coal and Steel Community was came into effect. The Treaty of Paris came into effect in 1952, and that was between France, Western Germany, the part of Germany not under Soviet Russian occupation, Italy, and the Benelux countries. Benelux, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Benelux, 6 countries created the European Coal and Steel Community to integrate their coal and steel industries. Why? Because, remember, this is just 7 years after World War II. War meant tanks, steel, iron, bullets, rifles, ships. And to make those bullets and rifles and tanks and ships, you need steel and coal. You need steel and coal. So let's integrate the coal and steel industry of France, Italy, Germany, the Benelux countries, and that way we'll all be more efficient instead of everybody trying to have a complete steel industry all by myself, that only is German steel industry. So it has all the iron, all of the coke, iron ore, all of the coal it needs, all of the factories, and I don't need anybody else to supply me with steel. No, we will integrate the steel industries and the energy coal industries of these countries so we'll be more efficient and more trustful, because we know if Germany's coal and steel industry is integrated with France coal and steel and Benelux coal and steel industry, then we'll be able to tell if Germany is getting belligerent and nasty again, and maybe even stop it and act to prevent it, because you can't build a big military without coal and steel. Aha! The treaties of Rome created the European Economic Community. That's what I grew up calling it, the European Community. It changed its name in 1992 to European Union and expanded economic activity beyond coal and steel. I think we covered the last class, right? So I don't want to go over this again because we've already covered this. Let's see here. What did we cover here? It's not the biggest market in terms of people, but it is the richest market. It is the biggest economic market for importing and exporting. So if you're India and you want to develop like China has and like South Korea has, you want to do business with the European Union because they've got the money and they will buy your products, and as well as with China. Well, China's a problem. China's a problem, right? You know, China and India are arguing and fighting and killing each other over their border. So, yeah, it's really nice to do business with China, but China's a problem for India. Increasingly a political problem. What the Indians are banning TikTok. Any of you use TikTok? You like TikTok software? I never use TikTok, right? So India announced it's banning TikTok from India because the Chinese government might use TikTok to get information, personal information about hundreds of millions of Indian people and use it to change their public opinion and brainwash them and control India through its economic power. Ah! That's happened a month ago. Now there's negotiation. And the United States is doing the same thing. It's forcing China, ByteDance company of China, to sell TikTok, maybe to Microsoft and Walmart or Oracle. All right. Okay. So nationalism, big topic of this class. How many people live in the European Union? Okay. Yeah. Since Britain left, it's now down to 446 million. There's only 27 member states. Was 28. Now it's down to 27. Now that Britain officially left. Yeah. The worldwide financial crisis. That was really a big event, right? It really showed again, and this is not the first time, the European Union gets involved in crises, and it has to respond. And the response can either becoming more independent and of the member states trying desperately to solve their problems on their own without cooperating and coordinating and slowing down and compromising with the other countries, or they can cooperate even more in order to address the crisis, the terrible Corona-19 pandemic crisis. And we have seen that the European Union, over time, it faces these crises, and there's a nationalist backlash in France or Germany, but the leaders of the European Union push forward to answer the challenges of these crises with more integration. And we already mentioned how the European Central Bank became very, very powerful in response to the 2008 worldwide financial crisis. And it's becoming even more powerful now. Adopting European Stability Mechanism. This is like a European IMF. An IMF, International Monetary Fund for Europe. That was created in response to this. European Union overseeing all of the banks in Europe, looking more and more like the US Federal Reserve Bank. So that's an important point. So now we're in the middle of this big crisis, the worst economic downturn since the 1930s. What will happen? What will happen with the European Union? Will it move more and more in the direction of a United States of Europe, like United States of America? Yeah, but not in exactly the same way. Like I told you, no Corona bonds. We're not going to call it Corona bonds, but they're still going to have the central bank buy Italian and Spanish and Greek bonds, thousands of billions of dollars of them, right? European Fund for Strategic Investment to try to, develop more business and economic capabilities. So particularly young people get jobs in Europe. And again, this is all pre-coronavirus pandemic. Yeah, we already covered how the European Central Bank has become really, really powerful, overseeing all of the banks everywhere in Europe. At least 100, plus or minus 130 of the most important banks in Italy, in Germany, and being able to, well, it's very sensitive. The Italians have had lots of vulnerable banks. They were the last to recover from the sovereign debt crisis. And as I read the newspaper, I don't read stories about Italian banks going bankrupt. And again, this is day by day, hour by hour news developments. So they're moving forward with more integration to address these crises, these big crises. How does the European Union spend its money? It only has a budget of about not even, I think we already covered this, $200 billion, not that much. Yeah, we covered it this last class, so I already covered this. So I want to move forward because there's a lot to cover in this class. The European Union has committed itself to a European Green Deal. It wants to be a new kind of global, they don't use the term superpower. They want to call themselves a civilian superpower. They want to be a global leader, but in a nice way. And they've really emphasized climate change. So in December 2019, before the pandemic began, the European Commission presented the European Green New Deal. Okay, it's supposed to be a commitment of the European Union to become carbon neutral, that by 2050, in other words, in 30 years, the European Union will not produce any additional carbon into the atmosphere. I mean, it will produce carbon, but also take carbon out to be neutral, zero, balance out in 30 years by 2050. And the European Commission, I was just looking this up yesterday for I told you, I'm asking you to write paragraphs. I got to write papers too. I'm trying to write a paper right now. And so I found this yesterday, if I can find it here quickly. Did I put it here? I must have. I want to show you one second, let me find it, show you what the European Commission proposed. This. And this was proposed on March 3rd, right before the pandemic exploded. At least before it exploded in the United States. And this is a proposal from the European Commission to the European Parliament and the Council of Ministers, the Council of the European Union, to implement this Green New Deal, the European Green New Deal. It's in English, but in all the European Union languages. This is the English language version. And this is formally proposed by the Commission. It's an example of the ordinary legislative procedure in the European Union, in which to make laws and make rules and legislation and laws in the form of regulations and policies by the European Union, the Commission must first propose. Only the Commission has the formal legal right. Only the European Commission has the formal legal right to make a proposal for a new law. And the European Commission submits this proposal, she says a proposal, to the European Parliament and the Council of the European Union, the Council of Ministers. And then they can begin debating and amending and possibly adopting. Okay, this proposal after they changed it and amended. Now, of course, the European Commission, having the right of proposal, only it can propose legislation, first consults and discusses and talks with the European Parliament members, the powerful ones, and the Council of Ministers, the ministers of the member states. It doesn't propose something that many people don't want. It proposes what these European leaders have already said that they'll consider. This is different than in Korea or France or Germany or Italy or United States. Anybody who belongs to the US Congress, the United States Congress, or the French National Assembly, or the Korean Assembly, any member of the US Congress, or any member of the German Bundestag, the German Parliament, or the French National Assembly, they can propose legislation. You cannot do that in the European Union. Only the European Commission can propose legislation. And people who are skeptical about the European Union say, this isn't really a democracy. This is all a show, a play act that wants to convince me that European Union is democratic, but it's not really democratic because the European Commission has the sole legal right to make any kind of formal recommendation or proposal for law. In other words, they control what these guys do. Ah, that's not really democratic, is it? Ha ha! So that is one of the criticisms of the European Union, that it has a democratic deficit. You know, it's not as democratic as the French government is democratic, or the German government, or the South Korean government, or the American government. And, you know, because the European Commission, they have a stranglehold on the right to propose legislation that these two actors, the Parliament and the Council, can then debate and amend and maybe approve. They can't do it on their own. They got to wait for them to come up with the proposal. Okay. So, okay, so back to the notes. Okay, before you want to take a 10-minute break? You know, usually when I have a 2-hour class, we take a 10-minute break between classes. Should we do that? Should we take a break?
Sounds good.
Yes? Okay, so we'll begin at 10:11, right? In the meantime, I'll show some more videos. So 10 minutes to go get a cup of coffee, go to the bathroom, whatever you got to do, okay? 10:11, we'll restart.
다음 날이 걱정이라면 얘를 부르세요. 이슬이 사면슬.
Next Generation EU is specifically built for a sound answer to the young generation. But more important is
So she,
that
oh,
we have a...
she's the president of the European Commission. Ursula von der Leyen, former defense minister of Germany. She is the president of the European Commission.
The next generation that we say, yes, we have to raise money now and invest it, but we will invest it in the European priorities that are so important for you. That is the European Green Deal, and that is the digitization. This is of utmost importance for the
Digitization of the economy, right? Again, European Union is really focusing on you young people. You are the future of the European Union. They want you because you like the European Union. You like going to study in European countries. You like learning foreign languages. You like the job opportunities. You like smartphones and technology. You love this stuff, right? Old people like me, I'm afraid of digital technology. I don't know what TikTok is. I don't, no, you like this, right? And so the European Union really emphasizes for the young generation.
generations. So I want, if they have to pay back partly that money, at least they should harvest and reap the benefits of these investments.
So what I noticed, I found this link yesterday, right? You see her, look how tired she looks. I mean, I've been back in Korea since February 12th. I got back from home in Ohio, my family in the United States. And there was the beginning to be outbreaks of COVID-19 in Ohio, not in Ohio, in US. And it was outbreaking in Korea, of course. And then in March, what was it, March 17, they shut down everything. The world shut down. And what I noticed, all of these leaders, Ursula von der Leyen, Mike Pence, Vice President of the United States, not Donald Trump, they all look like they aren't getting any sleep. As the world, my God, the world's shutting down because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the coronavirus. Ah! They all look like they're not getting any sleep. So she doesn't normally look like this. Oh, yeah. Another commissioner resigned. Ireland's commissioner on the European Commission from Ireland resigned because he did a bad thing. He went to dinner when he wasn't supposed to under quarantine in Ireland.
Last night, Verhoeven submitted resignation from the post
post as trade
Professor, I cannot see the YouTube video because the
I am
You cannot
screen
see me?
still frozen.
My screen is frozen?
Yes, I can see you in small place,
Can you see
but
her?
the
Can you
whole
see Ursula?
screen share doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah, it says you are screen sharing on my screen. So maybe if I stop share and then I go back to screen share and I call it up that way, it'll work better. You know, I'm wondering if it's defaulting on, because I'm going back between Chrome and Safari. Chrome and Safari browser. I'm wondering if that might be.
very grateful to
Stop share.
Hogan for his
Oh, stop.
tireless and successful work as a commissioner and as a member of the college.
Well, let me stop. Let me do it one more time just to get this stuff worked out here so you can figure out why these things, because the computer, I work on Zoom, but whenever I click on links, I go to Safari. Now I got to find where. Okay, so stop share or share screen. And I'm wondering if that might be the problem, that somehow it can't handle going back and forth between Safari and Zoom and Chrome so easily. Because I don't see, for example, I don't see her even coming up here on the options to share screen. So maybe let me try this. I have to get this fixed. I have to keep this in mind. I'll go like this, or maybe I just got to start working in Safari from now on. After, because you know, Zoom, I'm linked to Zoom. My Zoom is linked to my Gmail account, so maybe I need to start working in Safari. But let me see here. So, 1 second. So let me see now. Share screen. And I don't see where she's come up. No. You share. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, it's just not coming up. It's just not coming up. Okay, so maybe if I close some of these things, because maybe I got too many files opened. Quit Safari. And maybe that'll make things easier. So let's see. So can you, okay, so stop share. Okay, so there. Okay, then we go like this. Screen share. What comes up? Wait a second. Okay, just a second. Okay. No, that's not what I want. So let me see. Close that. Let me click on that link again and see what happens.
Good morning. Last night, Phil Hogan submitted his resignation from the post as Trade Commissioner. I respect this. I am very grateful to Phil Hogan for his tireless and successful work as a commissioner and as a member of the college. And I thank him warmly for his valuable contribution to the work of the Commission, not only in this mandate, but also in the previous mandate, where he was in Commissioner in charge of Agriculture and Rural Development. Over the past days, I discussed with Phil Hogan about his movements in Ireland in light of information that emerged regarding respect of public health guidelines in Ireland. In the current circumstances,
Quarantine.
as Europe fights to reduce the spread of the coronavirus, and Europeans make sacrifices and accept painful restrictions, I expect the members of the college to be particularly vigilant about compliance with applicable national or regional rules or recommendations. In accordance with Article 246 of the treaty,
The Treaty on
it is
European
up now
Union.
to the Irish government to present suitable candidates for a commissioner of Irish nationality. As in the past, I will invite the Irish government to propose a woman and a man. Executive Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis will assume ad interim responsibilities for trade matters. And at a later stage, I will decide on the final allocation of portfolios in the College of Commissioners. Thank you.
So Phil Hogan did a boo-boo. He went back to Ireland and he went to a dinner with 80 people. You're not supposed to have more than 50 people in a group under the social distancing rules to try to control the virus. And he was Ireland's commissioner. Each member state of the European Union gets one commissioner on the commission. They put one person from their country on the commission. And little tiny Ireland is a small country, right? And let me see, stop share. And let's see if I can go to share. And little tiny Ireland, there's only 4.5 million people live here. Germany has 88 million people. Ireland gets a commissioner, France gets one commissioner, Italy gets one commissioner, Romania gets one commissioner, Germany gets one commissioner. And again, that's to keep nationalism under control in Europe, particularly fear that can lead to nationalist behavior that, I'm Ireland and these big countries are going to take us over and they're going to swallow us up in the European Union. To calm people down, keep everybody calm, each member state gets one commissioner on the College of Commissioners. The College of Commissioners has 27 because there's 27 member states. And Ireland's commissioner, although he's not officially the commissioner of Ireland, he was responsible for trade negotiations with Donald Trump and with China. Powerful, powerful position. And so Ireland commissioner, we don't know who the new Irish commissioner will be and if he or she will still be the commissioner in charge of trade negotiations. Let me see, let's go back to stop share and let's see, resume share screen. Let me find my notes again. So share and okay. So these are some terms. Some of you know I'm very interested in nationalism. So here are some definitions. Germany, Italy, France, big, powerful countries. These are nation states, right? A nation state is a state in which most of the people all feel that they belong to the same ethnic national group. Not necessarily ethnic group, but they belong to the same national group. Like most people who live in Germany feel German. Most people who live in France feel French. Most people who live in Italy feel Italian. But how do most people in Ukraine feel? Ukraine's not part of the European Union. How do most people in Belarus feel? Do they feel Belarusian? I might say, yeah, I'm Belarusian, but do they feel in their heart? Does their heart beat fast for Belarus, or does it beat faster for Russia? So not all countries are nation states. Right? Belgium, that's not a nation state. Brussels, the capital of Belgium, where the European Union is located, that's not a nation state. It's divided between Walloons, who feel French, and Flems, who feel Dutch. And there's a big portion of Belgian people that are German, and some that are Danish. And they all feel Belgian too. People have multiple complex identities, you and me and Belgians. But Belgium is not like France or Germany or Italy. So it's not a coincidence that the European Union is based in Belgium, because nobody feels threatened by Belgian nationalism. Oh, the Belgians, they're going to take control over the European Union and use it to create a Belgian empire. No, people don't worry about that. It's a small country. There's only 18 million people live there. And they're all divided by French and Dutch and German and Catholic and Protestant religion. And so nobody's really afraid of Belgium. But people can be afraid of Germany. People can be afraid of France, even of Italy. Right? So again, that goes back to why the European Union is complicated. Do you really need 27 commissioners? No, they talked about cutting down that number to 18. But Ireland said, no, you can't do that. We don't want 18 commissioners on the College of Commissioners. We want one for us, always guaranteed for Ireland. And that meant one for everybody else. So they stopped talking about reducing the size of the commission, because some people say it's too big. You don't need 27 commissioners. That doesn't matter. You have to have 27. That doesn't matter. You have to have 27 commissioners because of nationalism. Right? That's the wrong one. I'm sorry. So share screen, and we go back. I want to go back to my notes about some definitions here. No, sorry. Stop share. I think I keep choosing the wrong. It's not letting me. That's interesting how it does that. Let me see, share. Those are the notes, but I'm wondering if the problem might also be my computer's too old. My computer's 5 years old. Maybe it can't handle all of this. Oh, okay. So a nation state is a state in which the overwhelming majority of the citizens all believe that they belong to the same terminal identity group, okay? Nationalists and nation states, they're more prone to get afraid and aggressive, to be worried about German imperialism, French imperialism, Italian domination, hidden cloaked German economic imperialism. That's more of a concern in nation states. The European Union is a peace strategy, so it has to deal with nationalism. It has to deal with European nationalism as a peace strategy. Okay? Nationalists, we'll talk about this through the semester, they're more prone, whether you're a German nationalist or a French nationalist or a British nationalist like Nigel Farage, the Brexit voters, to see a threat, a conspiracy by the Germans and their friends in the Netherlands and Finland to try to take control and build a new German empire at the expense of Britain's rightful place in the world as the winner of World War I and the winner of World War II. Oh! They get emotional and to stereotype. That's, again, one of the reasons why the European Union is complicated. You got to make people believe that nobody, no single nation is in control of the European Union. And you have to really try to convince them that that's the case. You can't just say, no, yeah, European Union, no, European Union doesn't represent the control of any one country. You can say it all you want, but you got to prove it. And that means you got to be careful. You got to always talk. European Union rarely, if ever, makes anybody in the European Union who's in a minority to do something it really doesn't want to do. They almost never do that. So that means European Union is slow, European Union is complicated, but it has to be slow. It has to be complicated. because it's all about compromise and negotiation and talking and compromise, making deals, making sure everybody gets along. So they never make somebody do what they don't want to do. They never do that. Okay, so go back to the notes here. So that's why, you know, Ireland, I mean, Bhutan's got what, 4 million people? All of Ireland's got 4 million people, and Ireland gets its own commissioner on the European Commission, just like Denmark and Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania, and Germany only gets one, and France only gets one, too. But that's not always the case. So in the European Parliament, let me see how. So I'm going to go back to my notes. I have to stop share here and go back to my notes, screen share, and go back to my notes. Where are my notes? See if I can find my notes. So yeah, I mean, you know, I never really interacted so much with the computer like I'm doing now. And when I've used Zoom in the past, you know, you just make a presentation at a conference. Typically, when you make a presentation at a conference, you don't switch around the way I'm flying around on my computer screen to show you different things, and don't really do that typically when you make a conference presentation on Zoom. But you do it here because you're trying to show different things in class. So it's a little more of a technical challenge. So, is the European Union a United States of Europe? You got to be careful about nationalism. Back in 2004, the European Union came up with what they called the Constitutional Treaty. The leaders of the European Union created what they called a constitutional treaty. They're going to begin to create a United States of Europe, like the United States of America. You know, the United States has a constitution. Well, then the European Union should have a constitution. Okay, and the leaders of Europe, because, you know, this is the leaders of France and Germany and Italy, and they're all about European Union. They love European Union. They've been thinking about European Union and all of their lives from the time they became adults, and they think that everybody loves the European Union like they love the European Union, right? So they got together in early, about 20 years ago, and began to come up with a constitutional treaty for the European Union. And they finished it in 2004, and then the different countries of the European Union have different rules about how they ratify treaties. Like the FTA between US and South Korea, that's a treaty, right? US has to ratify the treaty after George Bush signed it, and then the Korean government had to ratify the treaty. So yeah, the president of France signed the Constitution Treaty, but then the French government had to ratify the treaty. And according to the Constitution of France, there had to be a referendum. There had to be a national vote by the people of France. And guess what? The people of France said, "Anio! No, 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 no." And the Dutch Constitution said Netherlands had to have a referendum. And the French people said, I mean, the Dutch people, the people of Netherlands said, "Anio!" The mass of the people in France, in Germany, in Italy are still nationalistic. Even if Ursula von der Leyen and Angela Merkel and Emmanuel Macron and the leaders of the European states, they're all about Europe. I love Europe. They forget that the mass of the people are nationalistic, and they're easily scared. They're easily told by French Trumps and German Boris Johnsons and populists that, the Constitution Treaty, it's going to destroy France. It's going to let all of the poor people from Eastern Europe, from Poland and Bulgaria and other countries come into France and take our jobs and ah! And they voted it down. So, again, this is periodic, right? The European Union gets splashed of water on its face. But the leaders of Europe, they get all excited about European integration, but then the mass of the people, they don't know much about the European Union. They're not like you and me. They don't pay close attention to politics, but they can easily be mobilized by demagogues, people that have political ambitions and they want to make support for themselves. So they talk about the Eurocrats, the Brussels bureaucrats are taking over our country. So they stopped calling it the Constitution Treaty, and that led to the Lisbon Treaty. According to the French Constitution, you have to have a referendum. Germany, the German Constitution does not require a referendum, a vote by the people to approve a treaty. The same is true with Italy. So they never have referendums on the treaties. And Italy and Germany parliaments always ratify them, always. But France has to have a referendum on important ones. On every treaty of the European Union, Ireland has to have a referendum. And often they reject it. And that's one of the reasons why they're not going to reduce the commission from 27 members to a smaller number, because to get Ireland finally to vote to approve the Lisbon Treaty, they had to promise the Irish people, we will always have one commissioner from each country in the European Union on the commission. Always. We promise. So please, Ireland, vote to approve the Lisbon Treaty. Please, 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 please. And they say, okay, we approve it. So, and that's why it took 5 years. The Lisbon Treaty is basically the Constitution Treaty, but they don't call it a constitution anymore. But it's pretty much the same. It increased the majority voting on the Council of Ministers. Remember, we talked about majority voting, double majority voting. This was in the Constitution Treaty. It's in the Lisbon Treaty, right? I think we covered that already. Go back to screen share. Share. Yeah, I think we got to that point. We talked about double majority voting. Yeah, that was in the Constitution Treaty, and that is in the Lisbon Treaty. So the Council of Ministers doesn't have to have 100% agreement, but again, they almost never actually do this. The Council of Ministers, when they vote on a proposal from the European Commission that's been amended, they never actually go to a vote, because they want to try to get everybody to agree that it's okay to compromise, negotiate, make changes, so everybody can say, okay, yeah, we agree. But everybody knows that this could happen. They could have a vote, and it's humiliating to lose, right? You don't want to be in a minority that voted and you lost, ha, 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 ha. You don't want to be in that situation, right? A few times they do vote, but they typically don't. Yeah, I mean, we covered a lot of this last class, right? This became really powerful, the European Council. This is when the heads of government meet together. Who's the most powerful person in your country? They come to this meeting, the European Council. The President of France, the Prime Minister of Germany, you see her there, Angela Merkel, right? The President of France, that's him, Emmanuel Macron. The Commission President also attends. The President of the European, he's like the Secretary General of the European Council. They call him the President of the European Council, but he's not really a president. He's more like the Secretary General of the European Union. right? He's supposed to organize these meetings, give them agenda, help negotiations, and let's see, who else do I recognize there? Anybody else I recognize? Nobody I can see right away that just comes to mind. One of them might be the Prime Minister of Finland here, or Sweden. It meets at least 4 times a year, and his job as president of the European Council is to organize those meetings, come up with an agenda. So when these people come into town, they're busy people, right? They've got a list of three, maybe 3 suggestions, 1, 2, 3, and they have to negotiate over which of these 3 they're going to adopt, and they go, okay. Unless it's a crisis, like they met to deal with the corona pandemic, and it took a long time for them to agree that they're going to spend hundreds of billions, even thousands of billions of euros to deal with this crisis. They can meet more than 4 times a year, but they meet at least twice every 6 months. And the president is Charles Michel, and I think that's him. Joseph Borrell, he is the High Representative of the European Union in Foreign Affairs. He's I think a former Portuguese guy, or Spanish, I'm not certain. He's also Vice President of the European Commission. He manages the common foreign affairs and security policy of the European Union. In other words, when the 27 member states say, hey, are we agreed that in dealing with Iran's nuclear program, we should have a European Union policy on that? Germany, France, you all agree? They go, yeah, oh, okay, we agree. But if they don't agree, then there isn't a European Union policy on that question. Right? So he doesn't deal with everything. He only deals with what the member states of the European Union agree that they're going to be a European Union policy, and it's focused on a particular issue. So they have agreed that Germany, France will, and it had been Britain, would take the lead in speaking for the European Union with regard to Iran on its nuclear program. And the other 25 member states agreed that those 3 countries could take the lead and speak for European Union. And he would work with those countries. Now, with Britain leaving the European Union, as I talk to you, I don't really know what's going to happen. They're going to focus on the UN Security Council. Everybody's focused now on the pandemic, right? On the COVID-19 pandemic. 27 commissioners, 1 from each country. The European Commission proposes new legislation. It's supposed to execute the laws. So it's supposed to oversee making sure that the member states actually do what they say they're going to do when they approve, when the European Union approves laws. But again, there's only 20,000 people that work for the European Commission. So that means they rely upon the German government and the Italian government and the French government to actually implement the European Union laws. And it represents the European Union on the international stage. European Court of Justice, again, little tiny Ireland, little tiny Estonia, Latvia, Malta, each gets a judge on the European Court of Justice. And that court interprets EU laws, and the European Commission often sues countries. It'll sue Italy. Hey, Italy, European Union said you're supposed to improve your water quality by 20% by 2015, and you didn't do it. So fix it, Italy. Italy goes, and the Commission goes, we're going to sue you, Italy. We're going to take you to court, to the European Court of Justice. So you often see the European Commission suing European Union member states. The Commission versus Italy, the Commission versus Great Britain, the Commission. United Kingdom. An ombudsman, this is something, this is this is an idea from Sweden, right? If you're a citizen of the European Union, you think the European Union has abused you and you can't get your national government to help you, then you can also try to approach this person and say, hey, my government in Italy is not carrying out its European Union obligations, and so they're hurting me, an Italian businessman, because the Italian government is not allowing me to buy cheaper farm tools from France. But the European Union is supposed to allow free movement of goods, including farm equipment, from anywhere, and blah, 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 blah. And so you can try to approach her, and if necessary, you can try to sue the European Union, or sue Italy through the European Union. We already talked about the Court of Auditors. I think we already talked about a lot of this last class. Yeah, there's the president of the central bank. You want good people in power. I mean, at this time of crisis, you know, this person is the former IMF head of the International Monetary Fund, former French finance minister. And so she's not getting much sleep these days, I'm sure. I think we already talked about this. I think we talked a lot about this last class. This is not so important. This is representing the business people and trade unions of the European Union. But the European Parliament really has taken over the main role of representing these interests to the European Union through the European Parliament. But this is older than the European Parliament, this European Economic and Social Committee. Committee of the Regions, representing the regions. So I think that's it. All right. All right. So, okay, so let me go back to the notes then and share screen. Oh, I have another poll. I can't remember what the poll is. Let's do the poll. Okay, so poll closed. And so polling. I thought I did 2 polls. Oh, what happened? Are you still there? Did I just lose it? Oh, I closed the poll and the system shut. You know, it seemed to shut down. I mean, just when I closed the poll, I didn't mean to close Zoom, but now I can't find you. Now I'm trying to find where you went. Oh, there you are. Okay. I had 2 polls set up, and I wanted to open up the second poll, but I don't see the second poll opening up. Oh, here it is. Oh, so the European Union will decide or become involved in an issue if it wants to. If it doesn't want to become involved in an issue, then it's not a European Union issue. So I had this this exercise prepared. The world's relations with the Arab world and the Muslim world is a topic of controversy these days. Since European Union, so many members of the European Union belong to NATO, and NATO is involved in bombing and attacking actors in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that means European Union countries. So this is a hot topic, right? It says here that the people who involved in the attack on a French satirical magazine, and the magazine is called Charlie Hebdo, are now going on trial. And they killed 11 people. A number of the attackers were killed. Some of them were arrested. They're going on trial. 3 are not under arrest, but they're being on trial as well. And they're being put on trial now for this attack that 5 years ago that killed 11 people on the headquarters of the magazine Charlie Hebdo. And then Charlie Hebdo was attacked, in part the trigger was they published cartoons about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Islam.
Professor,
Yes.
screen share is frozen now.
I'm sorry, what?
Screen is frozen.
Oh, okay, stop share. So screen, you can see me now, right?
Yes, only your pace.
Okay, so I want to just open this up. And so I wanted to show you this newspaper article from the New York Times. Can you see this article from the New York Times?
No?
Yeah.
No.
It says I'm screen sharing. So it shows I'm screen sharing here. Can you see it now? No?
No.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. This is interesting because it says you are screen sharing. And so it's a Microsoft Word copy of the New York Times report about Charlie Hebdo magazine. And maybe it just takes some time to show. But, you know, we're just trying to see how everything works here. So I'll keep this in mind from now on. You know, there's slowness in links, and I'm communicating with students. I mean, like if this was a Zoom conference call for Samsung, we would all be on Samsung's network. If we're all working for Samsung, we would all be working on Samsung's network, on one computer network, on one server, you know, but like, you know, we're all on different telecom. I'm on SK Telecom. You might be on another telecom service. You're at home. Some people are in classroom. I'm in my office. And so maybe the Zoom just can't work so well. Okay, so I have to keep that in mind, right? You know, because when I've done Zoom on other conferences, we were all in one site, one conference site. So it might be, you know, a little bit of an issue when I keep in mind that, you know, this gentleman is at his home and it looks like in his kitchen. You're in your dorm room. You're in your bedroom. I'm in my office. You know, just, can you see it now? No? Maybe it's a matter of time. Can you see it now? The newspaper article? Okay, it was just showing about how, reporting on how now that the trial has started, Charlie Hebdo is showing these caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Islam again. They're reprinting them because those caricatures of the Prophet were claimed as the reason why these attackers attacked Charlie Hebdo, that they were blaspheming their religion. They were mocking Islam. By the way, in my employment contract here at Catholic University of Korea, it says if I say anything bad about Catholic religion, I can be fired. So it's not just Muslims that are sensitive about this topic, right? Not just Muslims. So, and so my poll question was to you was, let's see if I can do this here. Okay, stop share. And then polling. And let's see, poll 2. Should the EU make a statement regarding the Charlie Hebdo trial? Launch poll, go! And it's anonymous, so I don't know who you are. I don't know how you vote. So vote yes or no. So now I can do end poll, and so it means we have 60 seconds to finish. Hold it, poll closed. See, that's not supposed to be how it works. On the video tutorial, it's supposed to, it says that if I click end poll, it counts down 60 seconds. So there's a difference between the video tutorial on the Zoom company website and what actually happens. A little bit differences, right? So relaunch the poll, continue. Okay, redo it. So let's just make this 60 seconds. This will finish in 60 seconds. Meanwhile, somebody chatted. They ask, are you planning to upload the video of today's meeting? Yes, I am. Yes. I'll put it on YouTube, and then I will add the link from YouTube onto the Cyber Campus, because as I told you, the Cyber Campus does not, the Cyber Campus can't handle big files, but it allows me to link. So hurry up, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everybody vote. Nobody's going to vote. So you think 10 people think that the European Union should make a statement. European Union can make a statement on anything, on whether or not the sky is blue, on whether or not it's sunny today. Who speaks for the European Union? Who is the European Union? When I say, should the European Union make a statement on this topic, what does that mean? European Union makes statements on many topics. If I can find the file here, share screen, and let's see if I can find my notes. And yeah, I can't really find, is that it? No, I wanted to find my, oh yeah, here it is. Okay, share. See, it doesn't go, it doesn't work. Okay, so let me close this. Oh, okay, here is, the European Union issues press releases. Let's see if I can find Press Corner. They can make statements on anything they want to make. As soon as I wait for this thing to open up. So now I have to stop share, and then I have to go back to share screen. And let's see, yeah, Press Corner, share. So here's the latest news on Commission political priorities, an overview of the press materials, Franz Timmermans, and discussion. So these are all by commission. This is from the Commission. I accept cookies. But first, the president of the European Council can make statements, but typically these are from the Commission's spokesperson service. So it looks like the European Union is not going to make any kind of comment about the Charlie Hebdo issue, although that involves more than France. Those caricatures of the prophet were first published in a Danish newspaper, But the European Union can make a statement or have an opinion in its various forms if it wants to on anything. But that doesn't mean that, that it's very influential. It can be influential. But, okay, so here, what's this? One of the themes we want to cover in class is, again, about the European Union as a model for the rest of the world. Can we ever have an Asian Union? If the European Union is a peace strategy, can we ever have an Asian Union, like a European Union? Can we ever have an Asian Union? So let's see if this works.
President Moon Jae-in sat down today with Ono, the lead singer of the band U2, in town for a concert. President Moon told Ono that the Korean people want peace more than ever before.
Can you see that?
Ono praised Moon's efforts to that end, comparing the situation on the peninsula to that of his home country of Ireland. Shin Se-min has the details.
You can't see it? Who can see it? Anybody see this? Nobody can see this.
Praised its long-running activism.
Nobody can see it?
Peace, including that of the Korean Peninsula. Speaking during a meeting Monday with Bono at the top office, the president said,
but it says here,
the desire for peace on the peninsula has grown stronger.
독일의 통일 이후 우리 한국 국민들도 이 남북 평화와 통일을 바라는 그런 열망이 더욱 강해졌습니다.
Such remarks on unification comes amid the stalled denuclearization talks and rising tensions between North Korea and the U.S. ahead of a December 31st deadline set by Pyongyang for progress in negotiations.
So it's not possible to explain German reunification without understanding European Union. European integration is a peace strategy. That means calming people down, convincing Moscow and the communists in Eastern Europe 50 years ago that Germany's no longer a threat. Germany's not bad. Germany's not dangerous because it's part of the European Union. Look, even the French are not afraid of Germany. So reunification of Korea should learn, a strategy for peaceful reunification of Korea should learn from European integration. You don't copy the European model, but certainly Asia needs to learn from European integration to bring peace to Asia and to reunify the Korean Peninsula. Okay, that's where we have to stop. Everything that I've said is being recorded, and so it will be, I will upload it in a couple hours after my next class, okay? And you can see everything that I've posted, that I've used on the cyber campus. Any questions? Okay, no questions. So we'll meet again on Monday. Remember, your paragraphs are due Wednesday, okay?
Professor,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, did you take the attendance?
I will use the Zoom login for attendance. Zoom generates a login list, and that's what we were told to use for attendance, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, if nothing else, then I'm going to end the meeting because other professors share this link. I mean, I don't have my own. These are shared by other professors, so we have to get off. Okay, so I will communicate also through Cyber Campus and email if necessary. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.